We turn now to Ukrainian Member of Parliament Alexandra Ustinova, and you're here to shed light on the situation. You're also calling for more sanctions.
Yes, we are. We are very grateful for everything the international community has been doing so far to support Ukrainians with their battle for democracy, because probably anybody in the world understands that's what basically Ukraine stands for. Because if Putin manages to take us, it's going to be the end of democracy. And it means that tyranny wins. And unfortunately, we can keep talking about the democracy that won in the 20th century, but this would be the loss of democracy in the 21st. And Ukraine is the last battle for this. And we have to admit that basically what the United States and the Western world had declared fighting for democracy, this is what Ukrainians are doing at the moment, sometimes barehanded, stopping the tanks. We do call for more sanctions because, unfortunately, so far, it's been working for the Russian economy, but it's not enough. To be honest, everybody was asking to switch off SWIFT for Russia, but it's only a certain amount of banks that was switched off. It actually is going to be switched off. So if we leave the loophole for the Russian economy and for the Russian banks to use it, they will.
Right.
The first day the sanctions were declared by the United States, the Russian stock exchange market actually was positive on it. That means they expected worse. It means it was not enough, and we have to push them harder. And we also have to go after their money. Because everybody keeps talking about personal sanctions, but just for everybody to understand, personal sanctions means freezing the accounts. It doesn't mean seizing the accounts. It doesn't mean we're going to get their money. We're going to get them out of the United States, of EU, with their luxury mansions, with their yachts, with their kids going to expensive high schools here. So this is what needs to be done first.
So go after the money, go after Putin's friends. You say Putin is going to make Kyiv the next Aleppo.
Yes.
Tell us about the Ukrainian people. The Ukrainian people who are choosing to stay in the fight up against what appears to be insurmountable odds. What is driving them?
They want to survive, and they are fighting for their freedom. Ukrainians have proved, because nobody actually believed, let's be honest, for the first 48 hours, the world was watching. There was no support. We had a few statements from different governments, but there was no actual support. Right now, everybody understood that a small country like Ukraine, comparing to Russia, can actually make it. That people would go, we had 100,000 people in the first 2 days sign up for the army. I have my friends, my girlfriends, sign up for the army just to go and protect. Unfortunately, we cannot accept more people now to go fight on the streets because we ran out of guns. We literally don't have helmets, bulletproof vests. We don't have basic guns just to fight with. We are grateful that right now the international community, the United States, UK, they're sending us javelins, they're sending Stingers so we can fight in the air, we can fight with the tanks. But if we want to protect the civilian population, and Putin is targeting the civilian population now, so we panic, so we run, we need to protect our sky. And that's why we need a no-fly zone. I know this is something that nobody wants to talk about because everybody is scared of Vladimir Putin, who is a bully. I'm sorry. But that's what he has been doing here in the world. And my only question here to the community, to the international community would be, what is the red line for him? What is the red line when you actually step in? How many children have to die? We already have almost 20 children die. We have more than 300 civilians shot to death, shelled to death. We just need to know the number after which the international community is going to step in and protect our kids. And I understand that everybody is afraid of Vladimir Putin, but he's been promising us not to go into war, and he did. We were in a neutral country in 2014, and he invaded Ukraine. We did not provoke him a week ago. He still invaded. If he wants to invade, if he wants to go into war with the United States, with NATO, he will do that anyway, because he's a crazy psycho that is now a terrorist, a #1 terrorist in the world, and he does whatever he wants, no matter how the treaties work, whatever he says, whatever he promises.
Well, the number in Syria was 500,000, and the world community didn't step in. And Vladimir Putin targeted hospitals in Syria. He targeted soft targets and killed children indiscriminately. And you raise very good questions about how much more is he going to be allowed to do? How many more hospitals is Vladimir Putin going to be able to target? How many more children is Vladimir Putin going to be able to kill? I am curious on sanctions. You said it's a good start, but assets need to be seized. I wonder about energy. I wonder about gas. I wonder about energy. I wonder if Europe and America is willing to take that next step and actually hit Russia where it will hurt them the most economically.
Unfortunately, that's the question that we as Ukrainians keep asking, because when the sanctions were declared, we realized that basically there are a lot of exemptions for the energy sector. And yesterday I was here on the Hill talking to your congressmen, to your senators, and I was asking them the same question. I understand that your gas prices might go up, but does it worth, 50 cents extra to pay for a gallon? Does it worth that many lives in Ukraine? We have to be honest, because right now everybody's playing politics. I am a politician back in my country, but I am a representative of my people. And we need to know the truth, because they would be standing there till the very last moment. They would be fighting for our country and for their lives. But we need to know the truth of how long do we have to stand.
So the question is, are Americans, are Europeans willing to pay higher gas prices to save Ukrainians' lives?
Exactly. And that's why politicians have to be honest with them. I think if Boris Johnson and if the rest of the leaders go out, if Mr. Biden goes out and says that we have a choice on the table, it's whether the oil prices go up or we are protecting Ukrainians right now. We have to save these people. You know, looking at hundreds of thousands of people on the street right now who actually pushed the government to change their decisions. Because we remember that the sanctions were pretty soft in the first 48 hours. So it was people who went to the streets and pushed the governments for stronger sanctions and to make tough decisions. I think the people would be willing to pay extra few, probably, 20 or 30 cents or even $1. But just to stop killing of children in my country. And I just think that politicians have to, at some point, stop playing politics and start talking to people and asking them. Because, again, you've been mentioning about Syria. I can give you another example. Let's talk about Kuwait in 1990. It was not a NATO country when it was annexed by Iraqi. You and 35 other countries did protect them. And I can give you a lot of examples like that. And to be honest, we've been promised. We had a treaty signed. We've been promised that if a Russian soldier steps on our land, we would have the protection. We gave up our nuclear weapons. And what do we have now? I understand the concerns of the world. I understand that this crazy cycle has the red button. But if he wants to push it, just like with Ukraine, he will do that anyway. And you have to be first in your response.
Let's go to New York. Willie Geist has a question for you. Willie.
Alexandra, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We really appreciate it. I want to ask you, Alexandra, about, just to be clear, when you say you want the United States to step in, what you mean specifically. We just heard a few moments ago from Prime Minister Boris Johnson saying there will be no fly zone. That's been echoed by the Pentagon here in the United States. The sanctions have been brutal. The Russian economy is collapsing as we speak, in the short term anyway. So are you calling for European and American troops inside Ukraine?
I'm calling for the no-fly zone, and I will keep calling that, just like the rest of Ukrainians, because this is our only hope to protect our civilian population. I just want to explain that we live in the 21st century. A no-fly zone does not mean shooting the planes. You already have ultramagnetic pulse that can be used just to put the plane down and protect our population, to protect children from this plane to be used to shoot missiles at our kindergartens, at our child hospitals, because otherwise there is no way to protect the civilians. We are willing to fight on the ground, and we had already proved that. But again, this is being manipulative, especially by the political leaders, and I want everybody to know it. We don't have to use any shot to put the plane down. This can be used peacefully. This can be done by magnetic pulse. And this is what needs to be done. Otherwise, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are in danger.
Ukrainian Member of Parliament Alexandra Ustinova, thank you so much. Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.